In celebration of Pollinator Week, we invite you on a visit to West Hill Dam to meet Ranger Ron Woodall as he talks about the pollinator gardens there.
Hi, I'm Ron Woodall, a park ranger with the Army Corps of Engineers here at West Hill Dam in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. We're out here today in a pollinator area, a pollinator field that I've slowly been transitioning from just an old agricultural field that was filled with invasives. And over the past 2 years, we've invested a bit of money and time, a lot of time and energy into getting rid of a lot of the invasives in this field and then turning it into what will eventually be over an acre worth of pollinator field with local variety of native wildflowers. And this part of the field is about in between a quarter and a half an acre. And over the past 2 years, we've done several rounds of cover crops to weed out a lot of the invasive weeds and plants like multiflora rosa and bittersweet. And now we've been able to replace it with wildflower mixes that hopefully once this all starts to come up, it'll be a nice area for people to visit, as well as giving a home and habitat for a lot of our important pollinators in the region, including the butterflies, moths, and bees. So this small plot of naturally occurring plants here is called Staghorn sumac, and in a couple of more months these will actually grow to about 4 to 5 feet tall, if not a little taller, and they'll have a big beautiful crimson red crown coming out of the top of them that looks kind of like a staghorn, and that's the berries. These are really good for pollinators as far as food, but also for collecting and depositing eggs for nests. And in the winter time, a lot of these will be bored into by bumblebees and other types of bees to kind of build an apartment complex for them, either to overwinter, and I do believe it's also for eggs, for nests as well. But it also provides a really good area for forage for different mammals out here, and hiding spots of cover for ground nesting birds and then the New England hare. And so one of the big primary plants that are very important for butterflies in particular is the milkweed. There's a lot of different varieties of milkweed. This, I believe, is a swamp milkweed, but it's really fragrant, so it attracts a lot of different bugs and even birds. But the babies, they lay the eggs on it, and it provides forage for the monarchs. It's also important to have a variety of species and stuff in pollinator fields planted next to it for things like bumblebees. They are pretty heavy animals, so they need to rest every once in a while. That's why if you're observing them, they're kind of like a flying tank, and so they will need to just hop from flower to flower real close, and they tend to have a habitat within a range. They're not as fragile as say a butterfly though, and that's one of the things that milkweed, really the monarch butterfly, relies on those pretty exclusively. So in this section of the field here at West Hill Dam on the Grassland Trail, we're revitalizing this particular field and area using to suppress the weeds using buckwheat and a variety of other cover crops like field peas. And the goal with using cover crops to suppress weeds is to help instead of using an herbicide that contributes to environmental toxins and pollution and tends to stay in the soil. This is a better alternative, more natural route to both rejuvenate the soil with nutrients, and as well as be environmentally respectful and friendly in order to weed out invasive species. So the area that we're standing in now is another about a half an acre to a full acre of land that we're trying to rehab into into a suitable wildflower pollinator field. And in order to do that, we use an alternative method of killing out the invasive weeds, which out here we have a lot of bittersweet, poison ivy, and multiflora rosa. Those are very difficult to manage and to suppress. Typically you use a lot of herbicide in order to treat the ground and kill them off, but we really are striving to be better about our relationship with nature out here. And so I use a variety of cover crops in order to smother and suppress the weeds. Those include things like buckwheat, peas, rye, and oats, and clover. And those also provide forage food, material as a food plot for deer and turkey and other animals, and also pollinate when they're, or for pollinators when they when they start to flower. And so this will eventually be converted over after we've successfully weeded out the weeds. And in about a year, we'll have another wildflower field planted. Hi, Ranger Ron with the Army Corps of Engineers at West Hill Dam. Again, talking to you today for the National Pollinator Week. And we're at the top of the dam at West Hill, which is a short walk from our ranger station where you would park and then come up the hill. And this is one of our smaller gardens for pollinators. It was planted by a Girl Scout troop in 2013, along with Ranger Viola. And this is just a small way to help reduce our impact as humans on the environment and help beneficial pollinators. There's about 20 different varieties of different wildflowers and herbs in this garden, and all kind of help contribute to a healthy ecosystem and biodiversity for pollinators and even birds in the area.